Okay, now we're going to work on test 1, section 2, question 8. Question 8 is a primary purpose of the passage question, and they're going to level this a level 3, which is a medium level question. So again, if you're looking to get anything, if you want to get to a 600, you pretty much need to get all of your easy and medium questions correct. So for the majority of people out there, I think this question, once you understand how to deal with the primary passage questions, is pretty doable. Another thing to remind you really fast is with these short single passages, you'll read the whole passage up front. It's only about 14 lines, so it's worth reading it up front. But while you're reading it, not focusing on any question in particular, I want you to utilize the strategy. So I want you to pay attention to anytime you see 100% or an absolute word. So if I see only or never or always or first, those are important words. They have important meaning. Another thing is, I want you to look for contradictory words that we've talked about in the past. However, although, yet, they often can be important. And both of those concepts are utilized here. So take a second, read the entire thing up front, and then come back and we'll take a look at question 8. Okay, so as we just talked about, this question is a primary question. So anytime I see primary in the question, whether it's the primary purpose of the passage, primary purpose of a paragraph, primary purpose of lines 1 through whatever, that always equals general answers. So the trap answers will be something that's too specific but stated. Okay? So be careful of that, finding something you're like, oh, it says that right here in line 7. However, it's only stated in line 7 and it's not the general or the main idea. So this is what we're focusing on when we see primary. Okay, so go ahead and if you haven't read this question yet, go ahead, read the question, read the passage, and try to come up with a one sentence or one statement that kind of summarizes everything. So pause that for a second and try to come up with your one statement to summarize what this paragraph is about. Okay, hopefully you've had the time to think about it. And I'm going to say, well, it's definitely about Augusta Ada King. And I don't want to get too specific into anything specifically that she did, but I would imagine it's going to be positively toned and it's going to be something about her. What I know will be trap answers are anything that's way too specific. So maybe something about her father, who her father was, or something about how books were written after her, or plays and novels or film. Because those are all in there, but it's only mentioned once. And we're looking for the whole general idea here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what some of the wrong answer choices might be. Okay, explain King's interest in computer science. Okay, so this is a big trap, and I would imagine that a lot of people picked this. Because do they mention computer science? Absolutely. But it's not the only thing that's mentioned about her, because it talks about her family, her life, talks about how she's an icon. It talks about the things that she inspired. It talks about a language that was named after her, a computer language. So A is totally a trap because it is mentioned a couple of times, but it's not the only thing mentioned, which is what makes it wrong. But I could see if you would have left it initially, which is kind of why I put that dot there. B, a character analysis. If we're talking about someone's character, we would use words like that are character traits. Nice, thoughtful, or mean, or funny. Those are character traits. And we don't learn anything necessarily about her character. We learn more about her life and her profession. So the character is definitely what makes B wrong here. C, summarize how and why Augusta Ada King is celebrated. Okay, so C is definitely positive, and I know I'm looking for something that's along the more lines of positive. It also mentions her name, which works, right? Because we want her name to be in there because it is about her. And other than that, all it says is that how and why she celebrated. So we understand the how because things were named after her, and a computer language was, and all these books and movies and biographies and things like that were named after her. And why? We learn why. We learn why because it's what she did in the field of computer science. So I'm definitely leaving C. And in fact, I'm more inclined to pick C now than A because C, to be completely honest with you, C is more general. Than A. And when we're looking at primary, we're looking for the most general. All right, so D, tracing the development of modern day computing. Well, no, because it's only one person's contribution, so modern day computing does not work. Get rid of that. E, encourage more women. Okay, while that may be a byproduct, that may be a logical thing. Maybe more women are encouraged. It never says anything about other women. So we can't assume that anybody's going to be encouraged as a result of this. So we have it down to these two. And if we look back between the two and we're thinking about which one's generally or primarily the best answer, I would say it would be C. And that technique, every time I see primary, I have to think general, because that technique works every single time if that's the wording of their question. Okay, so the big thing that we used here would be the idea of a primary equals general, right? That was our biggest thing. And then to eliminate, we were able to keep the one we liked because of the tone being positive and the passage was positive. We were able to eliminate using concrete words and ideas in the wrong answer choices. And finally, the biggest one we used was how general answers are going to be the best when we're thinking about primary. Okay, thanks for listening. Good luck.